Hey guys, what's up? As you can see from this screen, I'm doing a tier list and also from the title of this video. I'm sure all of you are literate. So, the tier list I'm going to be making is about all the swords in Roblox game. It's quite popular, I'll say. Super Doomspire. If you haven't played it, you should definitely play it. It's really good, honestly. It's one of the most well-made game on Roblox. I'm sure if they really wanted to, they could make it a separate game and it will still do as well. Anyways, I'm going to be ranking all the swords, which are basically the melee weapons. Now, a couple rules that I'm going to set and a couple things I'm going to clarify. These are all just my opinions. I have not been playing this game for long. I am not at all a pro at it. I've only been playing since February of this year, so not that long. And I am definitely not a pro at it. But from all these weapons, I have somewhat of a relationship with it, or I've tried it before. And just because the rarity is higher does not mean that it belongs higher on the tier list. It does not work that way. It's my opinion on how good these swords are and how good they are in mainly combat, since that's what they're used for. They're swords. No shit. Anyways, well, let's start off with the classic sword. The classic sword is pretty solid. It's a classic, duh. The lunge ability is very useful and it deals 25 damage. I mean, almost all swords deal 25 damage, but this makes it somewhat better than other swords because it does not have any cons to weigh it down. And with pretty good damage output without any cons, it's pretty good. I'll give it an A. Now, we move on to Brick Breaker. I have no idea why this sword is in the game, guys. Brick Breaker, I feel like it's just something to pander some niche crowds in this game. The Brick Breaker basically can break bricks, like its name states. But in all seriousness, it breaks buildings faster than normal swords. But I don't really see the point in it, with a sword, you're supposed to be, killing people. Like, if you're breaking something, you'll probably use a rocket or a bomb. And it's also got terrible swing speed. I think negative 30% swing speed, which is not that good at all. But its ultimate also stuns people, which is the ultimate is Mega Smack, which is the same as the frying pan, which both stuns. But this is still pretty horrible. No one ever uses this. I regret buying it with my crowns. You're going to the F. Now, Great Sword. Great Sword is also an interesting sword, quite controversial as well. It really depends on how you're playing the game. The Great Sword really weighs down your speed, like a lot. When you're holding it, your walking speed's how much? I think negative 10%. I don't really remember. I know the swing speed is negative 100%, which, wow, it's terrible. Or maybe I have it flipped. But just know that holding the sword just makes you really slow. I know they try to give it with some movement with the swing, the ultimate swing, but it's still pretty horrible. The damage output is okay. The spin does 60 and a normal swing does 40. It's the damage output is not bad, but the speed really weighs it down. In my opinion, the cons really outweighs the pros, but it's still somewhat viable. So I'll give it an E. And remember, these are all my opinions and these are based on how I use these swords. You could have a different strategy and you can think these swords are better, which you're allowed to think so. And if you have any strategies for any swords of these, be sure to comment down below. I would love to hear your strategies and maybe I can try it out myself. Next, we have the Home Runner. The Home Runner, the only pros with it is honestly just the knockback. Now, with a sword, I don't think a knockback does much good if it's too high. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather. Anyways, the knockback. Imagine you're holding a sword. A sword is a melee weapon. You're trying to get close and personal, and you just knock them away. That does not seem good to me, but it's still pretty good with the home running special move. But you have to time it very, very well, or else it's not going to work at all. But it's still not bad. I'll give it a C. The knockback just doesn't really seem like a pro to me, and the cons is speed. 30% speed, mind you. Or was it 25? I'm pretty sure it was 25. Anyways, we have the tennis racket. Now, tennis racket I like. It has more swing speed than this normal sword, and its ultimate is serve, which shoots a tennis ball that deals 20 damage and stuns people, which is really useful, especially for melee combat. If you can do a good enough combo, you can stun and then rocket them, instant kill. And it also has good reflect power. It has less knockback than the home runner, but that makes it better, in my opinion, that is. It doesn't knock them too far, but it somewhat startles them. And I think it's pretty useful. I use it quite a lot. I might put it at either A or B. The only cons with this sword is that it can't double strike. I honestly don't mind that at all, the double strike thing. It doesn't seem like a factor to me. I guess it can't lunge, so that's some points of the parkour scale. It's still pretty good though. I'll give it an A, but it's not above classic sword. Next up, we have fire sword. Fire sword, all things considered, is actually really good. The swing speed is not too bad, acceptable. It's a bit slower, 25%, but it's okay. And the fire blade thing, the ultimate, it deals 45 damage, which is a lot. It's more than normally other ultimates. So 45 damage plus a burning attack, a burning status effect. That's pretty good. It's not an A tier sword though. I'll give it a B. It's pretty good, useful for combat. Not that good for parkouring. I think the tennis is somewhat acceptable for parkouring. Even though you can't lunge, you have higher swing speed, which can really make a difference either you're falling off the map or reaching enemy towers. Now, Vox Caliber. I used to use this a lot because I didn't really have any other sword choices and I only had enough money to buy this one. Now, the Vox Caliber. It gives you 30% jumping power and also more when you're fighting enemies mid-air, it does more damage. But the one big con for it is that its lunge is really short and honestly quite terrible. I'll say it's better than a great sword. Is it better than a home runner though? The jump power is okay, I guess. You don't really notice the jumping difference much. I'll give it... Is it better than a home runner? With its lunge, it could be. But I don't really think so, honestly. The lunge speed really tones it down for me. Really short range. I think I'll give it a C. Yeah, a C. A C seems fair. Now, frying pan. Frying pan is one of the worst movement weapons. It even says that on the wiki. It takes away 30% speed. 30% swing speed, sorry. But the stun and the damage output is still pretty good. Its damage is surprisingly higher than quite a lot of swords. It can deal 21 damage. What was it? 21? I don't remember, but I remember it was higher than classic sword damage. I think it was 26 or 30, but the swing speed really cuts it down for me. It's like a faster version of the great sword, which I appreciate, and it can also stun. I'll give it a D, I think. For the damage output and the cons, it's okay, but not as good as the other ones we have on this list. Ice Sword, aha. Now, Ice Sword it's okay. It's able to do the ice slice thing. I have no idea what it's called, but it can slow down enemies, which could sometimes be useful. It slows them down for 10 seconds, which is quite long, honestly. It's like a much more inferior version of stun, which stun just stops them moving completely. But surprisingly, it does not have any downsides. Just check the wiki, it has no downsides. The only thing with it is that it's... No, it doesn't have a downside, honestly. Its pros is that it's 10% faster swing speed, which somewhat makes up for no lunge, which is pretty good. I don't think it's better than fire, but it's still not bad. I think I'll give it a B. It's lower than fire, but it's around the same area. There we go. And yes, I'm doing this on an Excel spreadsheet. Please don't judge me. Now, Shadow Blade. Aha. Now I have some things to talk about the Shadow Blade. The damage output is cut down. It only does 21 damage per hit, compared to the classic sword, which does 25. Now, it's not a big con, but it's definitely something that weighs it down a bit. It has faster lunge speed and much more lunge damage. It does 50 lunge damage, which is quite a lot, and it can lunge quite far. But the ultimate charging up time, I'm pretty sure was increased. I have no idea by how much, I forgot. But you can't just lunge people everywhere and just instant kill them, which is good. I appreciate that. It balances the game out. But it also has really good swing speed. You can just hold down your mouse button and run around someone. That will almost guarantee a kill. But it's honestly still not the best. I think I'll give it an A. For the lunge, it's still pretty good. Now, Dark Heart. Dark Heart has the same swing speed as Frying Pan, I think, or was it 25? No idea, but it's quite slow. And it's also not the best. I guess it sucks health, it's okay. A lot of people used to think Dark Heart was OP. I guess before the updates it was pretty OP. The pros with Dark Heart is that once you kill an enemy, you get 15 health back. But when you're normally damaging an enemy, I don't think it does that. I wish if there was a buff to it, it'll be you attack the enemy for what, 20 something damage, you get 20 something health, but that's too OP. Maybe like you get one hit in, you get 5 health back. That'll be pretty good. But for now, it's not the best. Slow. The only appealing thing about it is that it sucks health, which it doesn't even really do a great job of. It can lunge. So I'll give it higher than Frying Pan, but it's definitely a low C. And there we go. That's our tier list. I hope I didn't miss any of the swords. I got all of these sword pictures and all the swords from the Doomspire wiki, which might be a bit inaccurate. I'm surprised there's no S tier, honestly. I guess if there was an S tier, it would be pretty OP. So I guess A is where we go. Now, this guide is helpful in case, oh, there's so many swords in the store. What should I buy? Now, you don't need to waste your crowns testing any swords. You can just look at this tier list and choose what you want. But do remember, These are what I think of the sword. These are what I do with these swords. These are what I use. I use them with my strategy. Remember that, strategy. These synergize well with my own strategies. It might not work well with yours unless you have one similar to mine. So these might not be the best swords for you. Maybe you have a different strategy that uses the great sword, which is good. I won't judge you for that. But yeah, it just doesn't fit my strategy, but it could fit yours. But anyway guys, thank you for making through the video to the end. I won't be surprised if you didn't and you just skipped everything, but if you did and you watched everything, good job. Clap clap. Anyways, if you want me to make a tier list on other weapons and other tools in Super Doomspire like trowels, super balls, rockets, and also bombs, I will be glad to. I just need some feedback, see what you guys think about it, and I'll see if it works for me. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's about all I have to say. I really appreciate you guys staying through this, watching this video. Be sure to stay safe out there. And thanks for watching again.